10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello and welcome to the weekly wrap with the USA Liberalists. Today we are your hosts, Cody and Jordan.
We need a new intro.
Yeah,
we'll work on it.
Fix it in post.
We're gonna fix it. We'll see if there even is a post. Like, I'm gonna start trying to do my editing right after the show ends. That way, maybe I can convince myself to actually sit down and do it, as opposed to the next morning where it's just I could do editing, or Final Fantasy looks real good about now.
Play Skyrim or something.
Right, exactly. It ends up just getting put somewhere else. So I'm gonna try this and see what happens.
I find dedicating a time to something and then sticking to it is much harder than you'd actually think it should be.
Yeah.
But anyway, today we have a few different stories for you. The big story this week is Mueller again. This is like rerun week.
It really is. I don't even care about the Mueller thing anymore. We've seen it. There's nothing new here. Not a single thing.
Yeah, there's nothing really. Anyway, we'll get into it a little bit.
I mean, it's super exciting, and everybody should keep watching through the entire. Watch. Yep. Mueller's interesting.
It's just riveting.
It's riveting. Good Lord. God, I hate the Mueller story at this point. There's nothing there.
A rerun of the Clinton meme.
Yep.
And then we got a rerun of the Jusse Smollett story. They got different actors to play in this one, though. So
oh wow, that's good.
It's a little bit different, but
thank God.
Same basic premise.
I swear to God, if I had to sit through just honest, if Jusse was back in the news again, I would have been super upset. It's been can we just not? We just not.
Well, we'll get to it. There's a funny tweet in that story that I can't wait to get to. But anyway, do you want to start with the Mueller report because it's so interesting and
may as well. Let's get it out of the way
and fascinating.
Here, we'll even start with the CNN thing because let's do the CNN one so that we can at least talk about what the other side is saying a little bit because I feel like that's really the more important takeaway. Because, I mean, the conservative side is pretty much going to say what they've always been saying. There's not much there, and I kind of agree with that. So, yeah. Why don't we talk about the CNN analysis, the best case scenario for what the Mueller report was, at least from their perspective.
All right, let me pull up that article.
Okay, I already have it up on the screen. So, while you do that, I'll start jumping into it. Trump's tweets showed how anxious he really was.
Right, this whole article is totally
so man, I can't
digging hardcore.
Oh man, the only thing their number I'd like to point out this is the first this is top of the list. This is because normally top of the list for any article like this means this is what we want you to take away from this, right?
Right. Trump's nervous.
Oh man,
I don't think so.
I'm super anxious. When you have to go on context clues to point to prove something that's been investigated for almost 3 years now, you don't have anything, guys. Come on. Anyway, President Donald.
Did you actually watch or listen to this hearing?
Not even 1 single second.
Oh man, I did.
Did you? I
totally did.
I couldn't be bothered. For fuck's sake. It's just
I
know what's going to happen.
Work, so.
I know what's going to happen. It's the freaking Mueller report. I know what's in there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be shocked by some new thing that Mueller does at this point. This was clearly just the Democrats fishing for a quote. And they couldn't even get that.
There's two things that they're doing here. One, the Democrats basically wanted Mueller to go out there and be please impeach him. That's what I meant. Impeach him. They wanted his permission to impeach Trump, and he never gave it. They did not get satisfaction on that one.
Well, what did they expect? Mueller would be on the hook if he just went up there and lied. Like they're asking Mueller basically to sacrifice his entire career on the back of, well, he might have done something kind of. I can't prove it, but he could have. It's possible. Like he'd be an idiot.
Well, and he told them, he said in a press conference before all this that he didn't want to testify and that the report was his statement on it. And basically this hearing was him saying, what's in the report? Okay, yeah, that's what I meant. What's in the report? Okay, yeah, that's what I meant. You read it to me? Okay. Like he just had them read it. Like they asked him a question and he said, okay, read the report to me where it says that. And they read it and he's like, okay, yeah, that's what I stand by.
Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, what else? I doubt that he's even read the report since. Because I think Mueller honestly thought he would put out the report and it would just be like, okay, there's the report.
Well, it didn't even seem like he's read the report ever, actually.
Yeah, I've been hearing that, but I'm just like, I mean, it is, like, his name's on the line there. I'd be very surprised if he didn't read the report. That would be strange.
I think he knew the general idea of the report. I don't know if he read every single line in it, like
true, yeah,
these pundits have, but I don't think he memorized it or was so engrossed in it as the media elite and the Democratic politicians who were just dying to use this as an excuse to impeach Trump.
It is kind of weird that the pundits seem to know the report better than he did, from what I can tell.
Yeah,
I'm not sure why that's the case. Like I said, I'd be shocked if he just straight up never read it. That would surprise me, but other than that, I mean,
Well, I don't know if maybe he never sat down and read the final report word for word, but maybe he read it along the way and knew what was going into it.
Possible,
but he didn't sit down and. Because it's like 400 pages or something ridiculous. Like I've never read the whole thing. I'm never going to.
Well, I mean, yes, but you would think that along the way he would have just read it as it was being prepared. Because I can't imagine that. Like I know that there's going to be a final version that they're going to present, but he should have at least been familiar with all of the contents. Because it should have been, he's sitting there approving individual sections that go into it over time. Because again, everything's supposed to go through him. So I don't know. I would be very surprised, I'll put it that way, if he wasn't at least passingly familiar with all of the information. At least in theory. Hopefully the man has read the report at some point. Good?
Hopefully.
Oh, I was about to say, you did there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. My computer, I'm on push to talk, so my computer was doing something weird. But anyway.
Weird.
Yeah, I think he read the report, but he said a couple things during the hearing where he didn't really know who Fusion GPS was.
Yeah, that was the weirdest one for me.
And then he didn't want to talk about the Steele dossier and any of that, any of the stuff that led up to him doing the report.
I'm honestly not sure what he was doing there because, like you said, there was just a lot of situations where it was just... I haven't watched the whole thing, but I have watched a whole lot of highlights because, let's be honest, the pundits clicked out all the most interesting stuff anyway. Right and left. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just I'm not sure how the fuck he doesn't know who Fusion GPS is. And I can sort of understand why he doesn't want to talk about the Steele dossier. Because that makes him look a bit like an idiot, all things considered. But, I don't know. Honestly, there's just not a whole lot to even say about the... the Mueller thing, there's not a whole lot to say. It seemed like he hadn't done his... He hadn't, refreshed himself on all the different things. So, that's a little strange, but I'm much more interested in... Sorry. Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you. But I'm much more interested in CNN's take on this. So Trump's tweets show how anxious he actually was. I think that's dumb. Mueller disappointed Republicans. Interesting. That's their take on it. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I kind of get their point in this one too, because the Republicans were trying to get him to talk about what led up to this investigation. because to them that's where the I don't know, that's where the gold is or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
That's what's important, because in Republican circles, I don't know if it's in other circles too, that they feel like this whole investigation was basically trumped up
Wow. Okay.
on false pretenses, and it shows abuse of like the FBI and spying on American citizens for political purposes. So the use of the federal government to essentially run against a political opponent.
I can see that.
So he didn't have any information regarding any of that stuff, or said he didn't, but Republicans were kind of frustrated because he went and looked at people's tax returns like 10 years ago, but he didn't go back and look at the Steele dossier and Fusion GPS. And he probably didn't do that himself. It was probably some of the people that were working for him. Yeah, his team. So he probably doesn't know all of it. But, I mean, if I were in Mueller's position, I probably would have done the same thing as he did at this hearing. It's just
answer what's in the report and leave it at that.
Yeah, just be like, oh, I don't know, or because you don't want to say something and then someone later will be like, oh man, you lied. You were a liar. You should go to jail.
True.
Like the man, I think he was in the military, and he's been in public service like his whole life. And so like he has, I'll give him some respect, you know, as a conservative or a Republican, I guess, some respect for that. He might hate Trump, but I think he was capable of doing his job, you know, like.
Wait a minute. CNN's point is that Mueller's affirmation that he would not answer any questions about the Steele dossier or the genesis of the probe took a major line of questioning off the table for Republicans? You mean he was dodging one of the most important questions about the origin of the... Like, he should be able to answer questions about the probe. It should not be hard to answer questions about why they're doing the thing in the first place. I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. Like, if you think that's a good thing, you're insane. He should be able to answer questions about why he's investigating.
Yeah, you think that would be something you would ask.
Well, yeah, that shouldn't have even been a Republican thing. That should have been... I mean, I know it's not going to be bipartisan, but assuming everybody is a good actor here, that should have been a bipartisan question.
Well, the Republicans some of them are now thinking, well, all the lawyers that were looking for him, a lot of them, you know, donated to like Hillary Clinton or the Democratic National Committee and whatnot. And so they're thinking, well, to them, these things didn't matter because it might hurt the people they support politically.
True.
And so they just didn't look into them. And that was some sort of bias that they'd seen. And so there's actually something here, but because of the rampant partisanship, these people just ignored it.
Well, at least it looks like CNN at least recognized that Democrats didn't get the answers they wanted either. So, thank you, CNN, for at least being reasonably honest.
Number 3.
Because, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious Democrats didn't get what they wanted. Like, this was basically the Democrats' chance to get their stuff together before 2020. I think this was, honestly, one of their last chances, because 2020 is coming up pretty quick. Like, it's not going to be that far before campaign season is in full swing. And if they're still doing this when campaign season really starts, it's just too late. Like, it's just too late.
We're already in primary season, so... I
mean, sort of, but let's be real, like, it's technically primary season, but they're only doing it this early because they're trying to drum up the best candidate, because that's basically what happened for the Republican side last time. Although I think this strategy is less effective against incumbents, because like we talked about last week, by the time a primary candidate comes out of a clown car primary, there's just too many avenues of attack available for the other side if it's an incumbent. But if it was like last time, where both sides need to be putting up their strongest candidate for a new presidency entirely, I think the strategy is actually pretty strong, because it means whoever comes out of it is also, the strongest fighter.
That's true, yeah. And I think you always have to worry about, like, there's a certain section of people that are really into Yang, the Yang Gang, and if he's not the nominee,
Hashtag Yang Gang.
They'll probably just go vote for Trump,
I didn't like that Yang said he was going to give Medicaid for all to illegals, but other than that, I still like Yang.
Right.
Hashtag Yang Gang.
Well, and then, like, the Bernie bros like, some of them went over to Trump, after he got screwed over.
Yeah.
But anyway, they'll have another debate soon, and we can talk about the candidates that are left then.
If they could stop screwing over all of the actually interesting candidates that the Democrats have, maybe they might have, like, because if they genuinely, like, if they put a spotlight on, maybe not Marianne, but Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, you don't like Marianne Williamson?
Well, I mean, it's not that I don't like her. She seems like a really sweet lady, and I think she'd be good for the culture. I think she'd be a good unifying figure, but I don't see her as a president. Like, it's great that it's great that she's a sweet lady, but that's not necessarily what you need. Like, this is something that good presidents, in my opinion, have consistently had over time. This is something that Trump has to a certain extent. This is something that Obama had to a pretty good extent. This is something I actually liked about Obama as a politician, even if I didn't like his policies, is that he spoke with authority, and he was very clear about what he was saying, and he was able to articulate it well. This is something that Trump is less good at as far as, like, the articulation, but he does speak with strength, he does speak with authority, and it's very clear that, when he says something, not that he means it, because I think we've seen him, like, back off so many positions at this point. Him meaning something is a bit of a questionable assertion to make. Because the man's had, like, especially near the beginning of his presidency and during the primaries, the man has taken every position on everything possible.
Yeah, but he's fulfilled a lot of his campaign promises.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, there's a lot of good things to say about the way he's handled things, but
he's just more of a. He seems like less of a, well, let's do a poll and find out what people think. I'm more of a, I'm just going to blurt out whatever I think people want to hear, and if it doesn't work, then I'll just change it.
Well, yeah, I think that Shapiro actually has a pretty good take on this, where he's basically like, look, the man is not a conservative. He is a learned conservative. He doesn't really understand what it means to be a conservative because he's never been one. He's figuring it out now because he's trying to represent the people that got him elected, which is great, but it also means he's going to do some weird stuff, like we saw at the beginning when he was still figuring out what it meant to be a conservative, right? It led to him saying some strange things, like when he was talking about how women should be jailed for abortions, and it's like,
right?
I don't know about all that, Chief. Like,
not even, like, pro-life people are for that.
Yeah, like, there are some people that are that far down that opinion, but it's not the predominant opinion at all. Like, not at all. But anyway, here, let's keep talking about CNN's opinion piece on this. Mueller was shaky, especially at the start. I think that's pretty much everyone's opinion on this. Like, he seemed a little bit confused and just old. Just old. Like,
well, he is.
I mean, I know, but, like, he's the same age as Trump, and, like, I can't imagine Trump just walking out there and seeming confused. Yeah,
he did seem like Grandpa wandered into
a little bit
Senate hearing.
And I hate to say that because I don't actually dislike Mueller. I think that he's trying to do his job, but, like, it does raise some questions about the efficacy of the probe in the first place. If when he's trying to answer questions about it, he just comes off like a bit of a doddering old man.
Well, yeah, he's just like, he came out kind of like, it came off that he was just the name on the report. That's kind of what it felt like.
A little bit, which is strange because up until this point, he's given off this persona of, like, he's this hard-hitting prosecutor that gets shit done, you know? That was the persona, that was the impression I had of Mueller up to this point. And after seeing a whole bunch of the, from right and left, seeing some of the highlight reels, I'm just like, was it just a bad day? Did the man need some coffee? Like, what the fuck?
Well, they were talking, I think it was like Chris Christie or somebody on the, when I was watching it.
I refuse to refer to him as anything except Chris Crispy.
Chris Krispy Kreme.
Man after my own heart.
He knows,
fat bastard.
He knows Mueller.
Uh-huh.
Like I don't know if they're friends, but they've worked together before, and he kind of characterized Mueller as the guy who's in the room, who's the quiet guy, who's just listening, and then he'll say something occasionally, but he just tries to take everything in.
Mm-hmm.
And so to have him like in the spotlight like this is something I think is probably uncomfortable for him. And so
it's possible he's just not good at being on the stage.
Yeah, to me, it just felt like he really didn't want to be there, and he really didn't really care to make anybody's political points for them, but that he felt like it was his duty to show up,
right,
and to answer the questions. And so he
sort of
did his duty,
yeah,
but he didn't want to make, he didn't want to be responsible for making political hay for people. Like he just wanted to do his job. So like, if I know if I'm doing something that I really don't want to do, I'm not going to do my best at it.
That's also fair. Yeah, I'm looking at the next point, and it's like Mueller directly contradicted Trump on FBI job. This just seems like a bit of a minor point that I don't feel like anyone should care about.
Yeah, I never even heard of this until now.
Yeah, like Trump tweeted, it's been reported that Robert Mueller is saying that he did not apply and interview for the job of FBI director and get turned down the day before he was wrongfully appointed special counsel. Hope he doesn't say that under oath, and that we have numerous witnesses to the interview, including the vice president. Okay, so yeah, I guess someone's lying, but I gotta admit I just don't care about this one. It just seems like a bit of a piss fight. Like, I don't know. It almost feels like Trump's trying to make him sound like, oh, he's this loser that tried to be FBI director and couldn't do it. And Mueller's just over there like, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Like, I don't know. It sort of sounds like Mueller's trying to save face and maybe Trump is exaggerating. So I don't know if anybody's lying or if this is just one of those he said, she said, where it's like sort of true, but not. Like, who cares, honestly, on this one?
It's one of those.
I'm so far past caring what
half-truths.
Yeah, I'm so far past caring what Mueller did or didn't apply for, or what Trump thinks he did or didn't apply for, his qualifications or whatever. Like, who cares? This is between them. I don't care. There were actually 2 different hearings. Wait, what? When Democrats asked questions of Mueller, they mostly followed a blueprint. Praise Mueller, ask Mueller to draw conclusions. Mueller declines and reads a portion of the report. Oh, I see what they're saying. Gotcha. So they're basically saying that both sides were just kind of following a script. And that it just sort of went down the same path both times.
Well, yeah, they... Like, I don't necessarily agree with their characterization of the Republicans part of this, though it is... I do think it's partially true. I don't think there was... I wouldn't call it yelling. They didn't yell at Mueller.
Well, I mean, it's CNN.
Like some of them
I just sort of
passionately, but
I let that one go because it's CNN. What do you want?
Yeah, but the Republicans did ask him questions about the Steele dossier and everything like that. So that's true. And then,
I kind of want to know about the origin. I don't understand why when it comes to anything that could be linked to Clinton, when the left starts talking about it, suddenly it's like, oh, we can't talk about that. Why?
Well, the funny thing is, I think all the Democrats who are on this committee and in these hearings got together beforehand and said, okay, guys, here's the deal. We all have to say nobody is above the law, because all of them said that like at the very end of their statements when their time was up. Nobody is above the law. They said it like over and over and over again, like
Fucking eye roll.
NPCs chanting.
Yeah. I don't like Jesus Christ. All right.
Like the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, like you guys don't seriously believe that. But then they kept saying it over and over and over again. Like nobody's above the law except for, illegal immigrants. They're above the law. They can
honestly,
just come here. They should just be able to come here. We're not going to prosecute them or nothing.
Well, the most obvious one is Clinton. Like the illegal immigrants, like I sort of understand where they're going with it because they're trying to change the law. So, all right. But like Clinton,
Yeah, but you still have to enforce the laws. You can't just
yes, it's
decide
true.
not to.
That's true. Although I think, well, I mean, there are certain situations where discretion has been used in strange ways. Like, as much as I would love for them to legalize weed, I think it's pretty obvious at this point that the federal government just isn't bothering to. Like, there's definitely areas where the federal government has just sort of used their discretion to say, we don't care anymore.
Well, if you get enough states to legalize it, I think the federal government will just have to eventually.
True.
Or, it'll just be easier to legalize it than to regulate it because you can't exchange it between states, but it's legal in like 49 states.
Yeah, it's pretty much legal in the United States at this point. It seems pointless for anyone to really worry about it that much, but it's just an example of the federal government does make discretionary decisions, and I don't think immigration should be one of them, but I also think that we need to sort of pick a side when it comes to enforcement. Either we need to enforce things federally, or, I mean, nobody's above the law becomes very not true.
Well, yeah, I think we should enforce the laws, with the spirit in which they were written. Because you can always make an argument like, oh, like they didn't, like a law can later take on a form or be used in a way that it wasn't intended to be used. But you should always
legalize it federally, like as part of the 2020 bid. That should be one of his things where just doesn't even ask for anything. Literally, just because that's the thing. It is technically fully within executive power at this point to federally legalize weed, because the reason it's illegal is due to its scheduling, not because of any specific law. Right, and if he has power to change the schedule, he technically has the ability right now to mandate, weed's legal now. He has the ability.
Legalize it.
I think he should.
I mean, if he needs like a few, like 1,000 more votes somewhere,
I mean,
that's something to throw out there.
I'm just saying, like, I think at the beginning of the whenever the general starts, I would legalize weed. Just ride that all the way in. Be like, I'm the guy that got you jobs, that got the economy booming, that got everything working again, our deficit's coming down, and I legalized your weed. Suck on that, well, whoever's running against me. You didn't do that. I did that.
In the Republican Party, I think the more libertarian-leaning Republicans would be fine with it. But you have some conservative, like, Republicans who would not like that.
I mean, sure,
they'd be opposed to it. But I think they'll probably vote for Trump anyway because, I mean, who's running against him? Like the squad.
I mean, true. I think those people would still probably vote for him because they agree with him on other stuff. But I feel like it would probably gain him more votes than it would hurt. Especially if he does it near the beginning, because that would give those people a chance to calm down. Whereas the people that do like it would come in and be like, I mean, he did make it so I'm not a criminal anymore. Like if he's trying to court the black vote, one of the main contentions they've had for a long time is that there's a huge prison population of black men that are in there for no other reason than non-violent drug offenses. And whether that's true or not, it doesn't even matter, because if he legalizes it, suddenly that's not a problem anymore. That's just not a problem anymore. There's a huge section.
Drug.
I mean, yes, but like a huge section of that has always been weed. Like if we're talking about non-violent drug offenses, a huge section of that has always been weed. And frankly, the black community just doesn't give a shit about weed use, and I don't think it should be a big thing.
Dude, I live in a state where it's legal, so most people don't give a shit.
I mean, yes, but like it's one of those things where if he's trying to court black voters, that could be a huge thing for him to be like, look, all the people that are in jail right now for specifically weed offenses. I have it legalized now. Why don't we start talking about getting some of those guys out of there? Why don't we start talking about getting some of these people like out of jail if they're really there for nothing more than they got popped for smoking a joint on the street corner? Let them out. Let them out.
Legalize it. Yeah.
Seriously.
I mean,
it should be
because he's a racist.
I mean, I think that would be a great way for him to prove to the black community that's like, no, guys, look, I'm not against you, because I think pretty much any candidate walking into that office is going to have to prove specifically to the black community that he's not against them or she's not against them. They're going to have to prove that, because I think it is fair to point out that the black community has pretty much got, like, I mean, when's the last time they actually had a president that did anything useful for them? I can't think of one. It wasn't Clinton, even though he was very popular.
Obama.
It wasn't Obama. Obama didn't do anything useful for them. Clinton didn't do it. Bush didn't do it. Like, when's the last useful president that the black community has had? Like, the best one they've had in my lifetime has been Trump, ironically enough.
Lincoln.
Lincoln. Fucking Lincoln. All right, okay. I suppose Lincoln counts as a good president for the black community.
Yeah, like, come on, man. And he was a Republican, so there you
Who's
go.
The one that got rid of, who's the one that got rid of Jim Crow for all those, like, 80-year-old voters out there?
LBJ, I
there
think.
You go, LBJ. But if we're having to go back to LBJ to find, like, a president that the black community can look at and be like, he did a good job. Like, it's been a minute. So, I think that the black community is a active enough voting base that if he can take a bunch of their votes, because there's a huge section of the black community that if they're voting for Trump, that's a vote it's not just a vote for Trump, it's a vote away from the Democrats. So if he can steal some of those votes by legalizing it and promising to do more on that front, I think he should. I think that's a good thing he could do that's legitimately positive, that would earn him more votes and hurt the Democrats at the same time. Because I don't think it's appropriate that the Democrats have had this weird political hegemony over the black community for a long time. It's weird. It really shouldn't be the huge divide that it is. Because it's something like 90+% of the black community votes Democrat, and I don't understand why. I genuinely don't. I can't remember the last time the Democrats did anything for them. At all.
Well, they've been convinced that the Republican Party is for white males and that's racist.
I guess, man, but like, Jesus. I don't know I genuinely don't know what they're looking at with the Democrats and saying that they did anything useful, because this is something that the black conservatives point out all the time. Which, I mean, even saying black conservative, the black community is actually quite conservative. It really is. It's legitimately just an identity issue. If it was just down to policies, the black community probably would be Republican, for the most part. It legitimately would be, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's black people, there's black Republicans and black Democrats and everything, but
sure.
I think that, like, for me, like, I don't look to the president or anybody to do anything for me. I think that's a problem, that you don't need to look at whoever is the president. Like, the president doesn't give a shit about you as an individual, really. Yeah. Like, they want you to vote for them, and they probably care about you as an American citizen, generally speaking, but they're not going to come babysit your kid when you have to go to the hospital or something. They're not able to do that for you. Like, they're not going to be that impactful in your life. But, like, there's some things that they can do that'll probably benefit you, but, I guess I'm of the opinion that even if the government does manage to do one thing to help you out, they'll probably screw up 10 other things along the way.
Well, sure, but I think the reason the black community is focused on that is because, historically speaking, and this is something I've been thinking about recently, historically speaking, it's not just that the government seems to not help the black community, it's that they seem to actively fuck them over in ways that just doesn't happen to other communities. Right? Like, I'm looking back in history, if you're black and you're looking back at history, a question that has to be on your mind is, when have things actually been good for the black community? Because every other community has had their turn, you know? Like, almost all of them have had their turn at some point, where it's like, this is a time where you can look at and say, this was specifically good for us, right? The Asians have had that, the Irish have had that, the Italians have had that. Like, everybody's had that, pretty much except the black community. Ironically, one of the best times for them was, like, right before Jim Crow. And then Jim Crow happened. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, I think... Well, yeah, there is that, like the Jim Crow stuff and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
And so I can understand why they don't... I mean, to me, that would just further cement in my mind the reason why we don't want to trust the government to do anything for you. Like, and so I don't understand why they think, well, if we can get the government to do what we want to do, it'll be better somehow. Or
I think the mindset,
if we give these people the reins of government, things will be better for us. It's like, will it though? Like,
I mean, no. I think Obama proved that. Like, anybody that makes it to the point of president isn't going to be someone, like, let's just be honest, it's probably not going to be someone that understands what it's like to be in the hood. It's just not. It's just...
Well, and even...
Like, Obama is an elite, just like every other white person that went through that system and made it all the way to the top is an elite. Don't get me wrong, I think Obama is an okay guy. I don't like all of the stuff he's done, and I think in some ways he's sort of a fucked up person, just like every other president. Just for clarity. But just being black isn't good enough. It's what they're looking for is someone that's, like, culturally sensitive to their issues and understands what it's like to walk in their shoes. Obama doesn't understand that. He just doesn't. Sorry.
Right, and I think looking to the president to solve your problems isn't so great. And even the office of the president isn't an emperor.
No,
like he can't just do things, even though there is executive order and stuff. But even that has limits.
Well, that's why I'm pointing out something Trump can do that can show the black community. It's like, okay, I'm at least not going to fuck you guys. Right? I'm at least not going to actively fuck you over. Because I think that's the main concern.
Yes.
So someone that can come along and prove that, okay, I'm not going to fuck you over, at the very least, here's something that I can do for you that makes sense, that works for everybody, and it helps you guys a lot, and is something that's important to you. Perfect. I think that would be a perfect issue for him to take on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd be fine if he wants to legalize marijuana. That's cool with me. Like, go for it. I just think that personally, I think if there's a problem, the best person at solving that problem is going to be myself. And so that's my outlook on life. And I think if more people kind of take that sort of outlook, then things would be better.
Yeah.
But I think we're in the age of, everything is great and you just got to tell people that whatever they're doing is amazing because they need higher self-esteem and then they'll be successful. It's like, no. Like it's not exactly right. Like, yes, like I don't want people to have low self-esteem or to think poorly of themselves. But sometimes thinking poorly of yourself can actually benefit you because it highlights your problems and then you can actually solve those problems.
I think the self-esteem movement actually caused more self-esteem issues than it fixed, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I've always thought that the origin of frustration is when what you expect and what you get don't match. And the more they don't match, the more frustrated and possibly angry you are. Because when you tell a whole generation you're special, you're going to be astronauts and firefighters and scientists, and you work in a fucking Starbucks.
You're going to be a millionaire if you just go to college, just get whatever degree. It doesn't matter.
Like they have all these expectations.
Take out as much debt as you want because you'll make enough money to pay it off, no problem.
Right. They have all these expectations for what they're going to be and how successful they're going to be and how great their life is going to be, and then it sucks. Like, it's one thing if everybody's been telling you it's going to suck the whole time because you're, like, mentally prepared for it. But if you're being told it's going to be fucking awesome if you just follow these rules, and then you follow the rules, and the rules that you followed fucked you, like, yeah, I'd be pissed off too.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's why, like, I subscribe to the idea, the Jordan Petersonian idea, whatever, of that life is
Oh,
suffering.
a racist freaking Jordan Peterson. Oh my god, I can't talk to you anymore. Oh my god,
I know.
racist,
I'm such a
bastard.
bigot.
Can't stand you. Horrible.
Transphobe.
Transphobe.
But like life is suffering. It's not always going to be hunky dory. The
Nope.
bad things happen to everybody. Like, it doesn't matter how rich you are, it doesn't matter how famous you are or how well you're doing, bad things happen to you. Sometimes those bad things are your fault, and sometimes those bad things are just happenstance. Like, they just have to happen. Like, there's nothing you could have done like, you couldn't have prevented like a meteor or getting struck by lightning unless you don't go out in a lightning storm, I guess. But
yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
I get you.
There's some things that statistically probably shouldn't happen to you, but they do. That's just life. And if you think that life is suffering and that you need to work to kind of ameliorate that suffering, to kind of lessen it for yourself and your family and your friends and your loved ones, then like life is better because you kind of just accept the fact that things will be bad, but you can make them better.
You're better equipped to deal with the problems because you see them coming.
Right. You're not so surprised.
Right. You're looking for it and you're like looking out for it so that you can mitigate some of the damage. Whereas like if it's just blindsiding you, yeah, that does feel like a giant problem, even if it didn't need to be, you know?
Yeah, and I mean that's probably one of my biggest pushbacks against the whole everybody gets a trophy culture sort of thing. So, I mean, when I have kids sometime soon, it'll be, I'm not gonna tear my kids down and be like, no, everything's awful and terrible and you're just, life is suffering and it's bad and everything. But I'm going to tell them, sometimes life isn't fair. Like, I remember being told that by my parents. Like, when I was a kid, that's not fair. And they're like, sometimes life isn't fair. You just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just how it is.
A lot of times life isn't fair.
Right.
You have to be able to pivot.
So, yeah, like being able to cope with the difficulties of life, because no matter what you do, you're going to have those difficulties. They're going to come. Like, at some point, you're going to die, and everybody you know is going to die.
That's going to be a happy conversation with your kid.
Like, well, yeah, but it's true, and
it's true.
It's a tough lesson, and it's freaking terrifying that if you like sit down and actually think about it, that holy shit, at some point, who knows, in the future, I'm going to die, and I don't know what happens to me after I die. There's no like certainty about it.
Yeah.
And at some point, everybody that I know will die, maybe after I die or before or whatever, but it's brutal, but that's life. And if you sit down and think about those terrifying things, they'll scare the shit out of you, but you'll be better equipped to deal with them when they come.
Yeah.
And so, like for me, my wife runs a dog rescue, and when we've lost dogs before, like that was super hard, but I found that if I think about it, like if we know it's coming, like the dog is sick and they've got, a certain amount of time to live. If I've spent time thinking, okay, what am I going to do when the dog passes away? Like I am able to cope with the loss 1,000 times better than if I was just blindsided by it.
Oh yeah.
Like if I think for me, I think honestly, this is where like funeral traditions and funeral activities, what do you call them? Rites or whatever.
Yeah, funeral rites.
That's why we have them, because it gives some people something to do when somebody dies. Like they know what to do. You're not just sitting there upset. It gives you like, okay, I got to bury this person in a certain way and I got to prepare the body in a certain way. It gives them something to do. Like it gives them direction in a time where you're mentally not able to formulate your own direction because you're grieving.
Yeah, if it's already just understood and it's something you learned a long time ago, yeah,
right,
absolutely.
Yeah. And I can understand breaking, like, I think that's a lot of what norms, like societal norms are, or were anyway, like back when we had some more, is that they were just, like, even dating, like there were certain, like, procedures for dating, I guess.
Well, yeah, there were rules.
Yes, it was. There are some good things about breaking those rules and not having them so strict, but it's also, there were good things with having those rules in the first place, is that it lets people know what is okay and what isn't okay.
As opposed to the idea that we have right now, where it's like, you're just supposed to figure it out on a one-to-one basis every single time you meet a new person, what's okay with them specifically. Right. It's like, but like, but come on, guys, like having a guideline would be nice. For fuck's sake.
Yeah, it would be really nice. It would have been really nice when I was dating, but so glad I'm married. Never been happier to be married.
Yeah, I'm seriously considering, like, before I even start really thinking about dating and that sort of thing, I'm gonna leave the fucking country. Because holy shit, I don't like the idea of just, like, that one guy that, I don't remember his name, but he basically had a bad date, and it fucking ruined his, and it, like, did serious damage to his career. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Don't remember his name, but, like,
comedian guy, but yeah, it was basically, she just did whatever he wanted to do because she didn't want to be rude, and then afterwards she was like, well, I feel bad about it, and so that meant I didn't want to do it, even though I said I did at the time, so he raped me. Like, right. No.
Right, you felt so bad about it that you accused him of rape later. Like, just say no, please, for fuck's sake, just say no. Like, I would much rather you say no now and me not get accused of rape later. That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think, like, the Me Too, like, Jordan Peterson talks about this, so I'm not going to go into it too much, but the Me Too thing is an attempt to reestablish some of these rules in what seems like an extremely authoritarian, an extremely authoritarian sort of way, is that they're begging for rules, but the people that are offering the rules are, I don't know, like, making it worse.
Well, it's so weird, too, because it's the same set of people that you would normally expect to be like, the free love, you're supposed to figure it out with your partner, everything needs to be established as you're talking to them, but there's also this long laundry list of things that you're definitely not allowed to do, that only apply to men, and women have absolutely no place in the rule set. They can do whatever they want, and you're not allowed to say shit. It's so weird and one-sided and strict, but also very loose. Like, it's just a bad rule set. It's just stupid.
Well, yeah, it seems like those type of people, they're not interested in making fair and equitable rules, but they're more interested, like,
they want to make it comfortable for themselves.
Well, not even that. Like, the lens that they see the world through, or their center, is power, and so they want to be in charge. So, and I guess they're authoritarian, in my opinion.
I honestly feel like it's just one giant self-advocacy thing, where the problem is right now it's so one-sided that when they're advocating for themselves, they don't consider the other side at all. So it ends up being they make rules that benefit them, but have absolutely no give Like there's no like, okay, men aren't allowed to do this and women aren't allowed to do this, so that it's somewhat equitable. It's men aren't allowed to do this. By the way, we're gonna do whatever we want. It's, I don't know. It's not sustainable. It's not gonna last.
Well, yeah.
So
And the rules aren't set in stone either.
No,
it's not
they change on a day-to-day basis.
If you do this, it's feeling based rules. So if you're feeling fine the day of and you say yes to everything, but then the next day you feel like, well, things were bad, so I didn't really give consent because now I feel bad about it, and so it can be retracted, I guess. What is it?
Retroactively?
Yeah, retroactively. What's the legal term for that? Ex post facto.
Oh, okay.
After the fact.
I wasn't gonna get all that fancy, but all right.
Well, yeah, it's in the Constitution that we're not allowed to make ex post facto laws. So that's where I'm going.
Okay.
But anyway, back to CNN and Mueller, and I mean, it was just so boring.
I think we've been talking about this for a long time, so I'm just going to move on from the whole Mueller thing. Why don't we talk about Jusse Smollett too?
Yes.
I think this is one of the more fun stories. Anyway, Georgia lawmaker says white man told her to go back where you came from. Oh shit! Oh man, racism. Yep. I love that her picture is like the best mom ever picture. Fucking wrong. Just wrong. Incorrect. I'm sorry. Best mom ever doesn't fucking best mom ever doesn't fucking make giant race hoaxes out of a Cuban guy that's also a Democrat. And apparently, according to and this isn't confirmed yet or anything, but apparently, according to an employee that was there at the time, it was her that said it and tried to turn it around. I'm surprised he didn't point that out, but I guess maybe he just didn't think anyone would believe him. I don't know.
Or maybe he just didn't remember, because when you're in the moment, you don't memorize everything. You're just more focused on what's happening right now and getting through it.
Also true. So maybe he just didn't bring it up because it just didn't come up for whatever reason. Or maybe that's not what happened. Maybe that's not what happened and she's remembering it wrong. Who knows? Or maybe it was a different person entirely. Who knows? Like, this whole sport is so fucking weird.
So yeah, the story starts out with her. She does probably one of the worst things a human being can do. She takes 15 items to the 10 item or less lane.
Oh god. Oh no. Yeah, the whole story is stupid front to back, but yeah.
Well, yeah, like, even if I see people like that, normally I don't give a shit. Like, we have self-checkout in some places. That's typically where I go.
I'm only annoyed if they're like in front of me, because I see people sometime where they'll literally have, like, it's a wife and a husband where they'll like get 15 items each and then get in line and do it separately, and I'm like, seriously, guys, you guys are fucking assholes.
Well, yeah, like, I worked retail, and the express lane, the only reason it's faster is not because the cashier is faster or anything like that. The only reason it's faster is because of the less items. So you going there with like 20 items as opposed to 10 just makes it another regular checkout lane, but typically with a smaller conveyor belt or no conveyor belt.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
But, like, honestly, like the guy said in the interview that they did, that there were 2 other lanes and nobody was at them. So I would have just walked out and not said anything. Like, I wouldn't care. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, why would you even say anything?
Well, and yeah, just to quote her, though, "You lazy son of a bitch, you need to go back where you came from." And she said back, "Sir, you don't even know me. I'm not lazy. I'm 9 months pregnant." I'm confused. Okay, so you need to go back where you came from. Black people are common enough in America that you need to go back where you came from is just strange. Like, it does, like, from the testimony of the employee, it would make more sense for her to be the one saying that to the Cuban guy. That would make more sense, because he's actually got somewhere to go to be back from. Like, you know.
Well,
what does
to be fair,
pregnant even have to do with this? I don't understand.
It's sympathy. And kind of maybe she can explain it away through hormones. I don't know.
Fucking, I'm 9 months pregnant. What? I just
I'm
want
9
you out
months
of the.
pregnant.
I just
that
want you out
gives
of the
me
express
license
lane.
to be a raging bitch.
Yeah. To be fair, it
Kind
seems
of
like
does, but yeah.
I mean, it seems like he was the one being the raging bitch, at least until she turned this into a race thing. Like, honestly, the guy, if she had just left it alone, he's the asshole here. But she tries to turn it into, oh yeah, he tried. It was a racist attack. Okay, now you're the asshole. Like
Well, yeah.
what he did does not justify this. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he comes off kind of as a jerk, but then her reaction, it's the Donald Trump thing. It's like Donald Trump, why'd you say that? Like he comes off as kind of like a jerk. And if the Democrats just kind of like
pile on.
held
Yeah.
it up, they just held it up and said, "Oh, look at this," and instead of jumping on it and like
Racist,
pouncing,
mega racist,
yeah,
xenophobe,
or like
bigot, transphobe, blah.
taking it to the 10th degree or whatever, and
Yeah.
just making a bigger deal out of it than it actually was, and then it's just like, okay, like I feel bad for Trump now.
No, honestly,
like
at this point,
I was like, gee,
I can't believe they haven't learned their lesson. Like literally, all they would have to do is every time he does something stupid, just compile a list, just add it to the top of the list, just make a long ass list of all the stupid shit he said, and don't say anything back. Literally, don't say shit. Just hold it up.
Yeah, just collect the clips, and then at election time, just run a montage of those clips.
Yeah.
We don't even need commentary with it necessarily.
Yeah, I don't need your opinion. That's
the Republican strategy right now.
Yeah, seriously, it's like I don't need your fucking opinion of whether or not he's a racist. I can figure out whether or not he's a racist on my own. Thank you. Like I'm so tired of hearing them try and explain to me that he's a racist. Like I'm capable of looking at his quotes and deciding for myself. For fuck's sake. I'm so tired of the orange man bad thing.
I think this lawmaker would have gotten more mileage out of the lazy son of a bitch comment if she would have went with that angle as opposed to go back where you came. If she made up the go back where you came from part.
Well, yeah,
now,
but
she
if
only
she doesn't
made that up.
It's not news.
She only made that up because of the Trump thing.
Yeah.
The Trump bump, and so she wanted the Trump bump.
I don't even know if she did. Like, there's so few details of what actually happened. I don't even know if she did make it up. For all I know, this whole thing's a misunderstanding. Who knows?
Well, they both have done interviews.
Yeah.
But we don't have statements from a third party necessarily. Like,
there
at
was
least
that
I
one,
haven't seen any.
There was that one employee that made the claim that she said it.
I haven't seen like videos of them talking about it.
I don't think there's any audio.
Like the person on cam. Yeah, the person on camera saying no. She said like nobody's come forward. Like I think they've made statements somewhere in the media to that effect, but I haven't. Like the police chief didn't come out and be like, "Oh, we saw. Here's the footage from Publix." Which what the hell? What the hell's Publix?
It's a grocery chain.
Oh, okay. We don't have those.
Well, okay. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. But she immediately goes to Facebook and does the whole poor me thing.
Oh yeah, I love this. I love this. Hold on. Sparks denied telling Thomas to go back where she came from, but admitted he did call her a lazy bitch. Okay, so it sounds like he's being at least honest. That's the worst thing I said, and all she has back is like, okay, because that makes you look better. Yeah, it does. Well, yeah, it makes him look much better.
It does make him look better. It does make him look like he's at least telling the truth.
Yeah, it makes it look like this wasn't a racist thing at all. It makes it sound like this whole thing was just a petty spat, and you're the one bringing it to national attention. Yes, it absolutely makes him look better. Because of what you did. Like, if you had just left it alone and didn't try and make it into all this, he looks like an asshole. Now, I don't even care. He's not the one that tried to turn this into a race hoax.
And the him being Cuban thing, too. Like, his grandmother, I think, came from Cuba, he said. So, I think he was born here. I don't think he's from Cuba. He's, like, Cuban descendant.
It says here he says he's got Cuban nationality.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
I mean, I don't know how Cuban nationality works, but like, I think you would at least have to have been born there. Although that's not how it works everywhere, so who knows?
Who would want Cuban nationality? I guess Cuban cigars, maybe. But I think you can get those now. Those can't you?
Yeah, I don't know if the embargo for that still applies. I don't know. Either way.
Anyway, yeah, there's part of me that gets my tinfoil hat out and puts it on and says these two are actually just working
Playing up for
together
her attention.
to get her attention.
Yeah, I suppose it does make
There's
her at
part
least
of me
look
that
somewhat sympathetic, and then as long as he comes out and defends himself, it's not totally going to ruin him if it comes out it was him. Because now there's plausible deniability, public plausible deniability.
Well, it's like the old saying, there's no bad press or
Yeah.
any press is good press or whatever. So if that, I mean, this is a good way to get a shitload of free press for her. Like, I would have never known who this woman was, but does she need it? Like, is she gonna run for governor of the state or something? Like, I'd be interested in what if this is some sort of conspiracy between these two, what the ultimate strategy is, because she's been elected 3 times in her district for her position.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm looking at this now. He needs to be held accountable because people can't just go out in public areas and berate pregnant women. Whether it's because I'm pregnant or whether it's because I'm black. Like, how about it? It doesn't sound like it was either. And it sounds like you're just being an asshole. And trying to drag this guy on the national stage.
She wants him to go to jail because she didn't like something he said.
Yeah, seriously. The idea... like, I would never vote for this woman just because of that. Like, that quote right there. Like, at least before, it could be like, he said, she said, who knows? But if you're trying to get someone jailed over a petty argument in a grocery store, fuck you. Like, this was just a petty argument that never should have happened. Granted, she's right that he shouldn't be berating her in public over, an express lane issue. Like, okay, fine. Granted. But, like, that doesn't deserve to go to jail. That does not deserve jail time. I'm sorry. Go talk to him in private. Stop being assholes to each other. Fucking deal with this in private. Why is this
adults?
Yeah, seriously. Why is this a national story? Fuck you for making this a national story. Seriously. This is ridiculous. But regardless.
And so, like, she I don't think it's in this story, but it was, I think, in Matt Christensen's video where he talks about her getting a lawyer.
Yeah, seriously. That's so dumb.
And the lawyer...
I would love to see discovery for this.
The lawyer basically says that he committed a crime. Like, the crime he committed here is called simple assault. And so basically what simple assault is putting somebody in reasonable fear of receiving violent injury.
What?
Or, doing that in front of a child because she's saying she was scared for her life. Which is ridiculous because she is so much bigger than this guy.
Lady, you're in a grocery store. What's he gonna do? Fucking bash you over the head with a cucumber because you were in the wrong lane? Like, I guess that could happen, but Jesus Christ. You know what? No. You know what? No. Thomas, go ahead. Sue him. I want to see this in court. I want this to go to court now because I want discovery. I want someone to figure this out.
Her reasoning was that he could have been out in the parking lot, like, waiting for her, and so she was afraid for her life for some reason. It didn't really seem like she was very afraid of him in the news interview that they did. I don't know if you watched it or not. It's like 15 minutes, but she didn't really seem that afraid of him. Doesn't seem like she's somebody who's afraid of people.
No, it seems like a convenient way to go after him because he embarrassed her.
Well, and then after she posted her video online, the hashtag I stand with Erica trended on Twitter.
Of course it did.
And I don't know,
these idiots fall for it every single time.
Democratic politicians retweeting it. But the funniest part in this story is that in 2018, she tweeted that she was one of Jusse Smollett's biggest fans.
Wow, it really is Jusse Smollett 2.0. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a tweet aged to perfection.
Right? Like a fine wine.
Put it
just
in the tweet cellar and let's let it
young.
age. Yeah.
Just perfect.
To open it at the right time.
Exactly. Just mwah.
So I thought that was pretty funny that she tweeted.
Funny.
Like, yeah, she was going somewhere where he was going to be, and she's like, I hope I run into him. I'm one of his biggest fans. Hilarious.
It's not really a major point because, I mean, I don't think she probably even knew about the whole Jusse thing at the time, but, like, it is funny.
No, probably not.
It is funny.
But, like, just that this whole thing is the same thing. It's a rerun.
There's a lot of reruns this fucking week.
We're seriously out of ideas because all we are doing is rerunning these sort of like hoax hates. We're remaking Disney movies and just simply casting people of different skin color in the position in the lead roles. That's it. That counts as a new movie, I guess. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Like I could care less, but it's not a new movie. Like I've seen The Little Mermaid already, and I'm not gonna go watch it again.
Yeah.
Just proof that socialists can't really make anything. They can only live off of it, like some sort of. Well, I'll let you do the math. I'm not gonna say it.
Jeffrey Epstein was found on.
Nope. Stop. Okay. Ready. Sorry, I was getting the YouTube thing ready for the Epstein case. And yeah, there's honestly not a whole lot left to say here. They're both kind of assholes, and Thomas really needs to stop escalating because she just looks stupider every time she does.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's some sort of like, what do you call it? Marketing strategy for her to do all this.
I mean, she's a politician, probably. She's a politician no one's heard of before now, so yes, most likely.
So it worked.
Yes. Yeah, it did work, unfortunately. I mean, fucking, even we're talking about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's red meat for the media outlets. They get clicks and stuff, and she gets press and doesn't have to pay for it. So...
Well, here, you want to watch the YouTube video real quick?
Yes, let's do that. This is the Epstein. Epstein gets the Clinton treatment.
Yes. All right, so if you have it ready, I'll go ahead and put it on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Jeffrey Epstein was found on the floor of his cell, semi-conscious, in a fetal position with marks around his neck. There are conflicting explanations from multiple law enforcement sources. One theory is that Epstein tried to take his own life. Another...
The first theory is that he tried to hang himself?
Yeah.
Wait. Marks on his... Injured with marks on his neck. Okay, so, like, I guess they mean rope marks? I hope that's what they mean.
Is that the 66-year-old...
Well, no, they didn't say. They just say marks on his neck.
Jail in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was found semi-conscious in the fetal position with marks on his neck.
Wait, what does that even... What was he attacked? Why does none of this information seem to coincide? It's like, okay, so one is that he resisted, I think. One is that he tried to hang himself, and the other is that he was attacked. Like, but if the marks are on his neck, like, attacked with what? Also a rope?
Well, someone like strangled him.
I guess, but that should have different marks.
Their hands.
Yeah, they should have very different marks.
They don't clarify. They just say marks on neck. Like that's all the information we get. And so it's hard. When you're in jail, they take your shoelaces away so you can't hang yourself. You know. So I don't know what.
Run around in Crocs and shit.
He's got to hang himself with, but I mean, you could try to strangle yourself in some way. Who knows? But the three theories Well, I mean, I guess we can just watch the video. But
I mean, I'm going to interject my own theory, and considering that he's a giant pervert, I'm going to go with autoerotic asphyxiation. That's my assessment
maybe
of this. He was jerking off, and he wanted to get a better one, so he's just sitting there choking himself.
Well,
or maybe his butt buddy in his cell did it for him.
That's why he likes children, because they're not actually strong enough to strangle him to death. And so that's
just
why he prefers
strong enough to get him there.
Kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gross.
God, seriously.
So gross. I know.
Why did you even make that joke? All right.
I don't know.
We're just gonna shut up and let this keep going.
York station that Epstein shared a cell with Nick Tartaglione, a former police officer accused of murder. Tartaglione's lawyer says his client was questioned but is not a suspect.
He did nothing wrong at all, and he's not being investigated for doing anything wrong. He's not been accused of doing anything wrong.
A judge...
Wait, why are we even talking about the other guy if nobody thinks he did anything? Like, how did that even come up?
It's just one of the theories, makes the story sound nicer if you have 3 theories as opposed to just 2.
And I suppose nobody wants to put on the news, he was jacking off. So
no, yeah, that's our 4th theory.
That's my
heard
theory.
here. Breaking news.
So if it turns out he was trying to jerk it, I called it. That credit goes to me and no one else.
Well, right. They think he was either trying to kill himself. He was either pretending to try to kill himself so that he could get transferred to a new place.
Right.
Or that his cellmate attacked him.
So, I mean, if his cellmate isn't even being accused of anything, it sounds like, it might be trying to kill himself.
Leaving him
there might be nefarious things going on here. Like the cops looked the other way so that he could attack him.
Hillary Clinton just walked in, was like, "It's time for you to go, bitch."
Well, there is that angle. There is that meme, but pedophiles don't get treated so well in prison.
Also true. Like, it wouldn't be weird at all for him to get taken out.
This guy's a former cop who's accused of murder. You think he'd be like, well, I'm guilty of murder and I'm going to go down for it. I might as well do something good and just fucking kill this pedophile.
Right? At least take out one of the bad guys. Thinking. Yeah. It couldn't have happened to a worse person,
Maybe they'll let me out on
good behavior.
Give me a medal.
I'm going to get out on good behavior for killing Jeffrey Epstein.
It's like, you murdered a guy, but while in prison, you killed a pedophile.
I mean, you did kill Jeffrey Epstein, so, it sort of works out,
Doesn't work that way. That's
no, it doesn't.
How it works.
No, it doesn't
Shouldn't
at all.
work that way either.
No, but I can imagine. Anyway.
A sharp contrast to life in his luxury homes in New Mexico, New York, and the Caribbean. Local zoning permits show Epstein was expanding his compound from this island to a second one, bought in 2016. Beaches in the Virgin Island are public property, but Jeffrey Epstein has made it very clear that the rest of this island is not. He's been doing construction here.
Yeah, they go into
all the way up until his arrest,
all the
really. We're told
stuff on his island.
Was built
it looks like he was expanding. Ugh.
A
Great.
few months ago. Epstein may never be back. The rest of his life.
It's just so
behind bars.
I wish I had enough money to own an island.
News.
That'd be cool.
Right?
Much less 2 fucking islands. Like, how do you get that much money?
Children.
Blackmail. But yeah, this is just a weird story. Like, I don't know if he's guilty, which everyone kind of seemed to assume that he actually is guilty. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, everybody thinks he's guilty. I mean, because he's already a convicted sex predator in the first place. So.
Well, right, and so, I have noticed this, that pedophiles, people accused of pedophilia, rarely ever get that whole innocent before or guilty, innocent until proven guilty.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really get that sort of treatment as much as another crime would.
Hey, someone agrees with me. Painkiller Jones in the comments. He was just getting his freak on. Autoerotic asphyxiation. See, somebody knows what's up. You're getting a like, sir. Yeah. I don't know. This whole thing is just gross, and I have no idea why he wasn't in jail. Like I think we've talked about this before. I'm pretty sure we have about the sweetheart deal he got. It was just ridiculously good. And it's just guys, he has a fucking pedophile island. Can we please put him in jail? Fucking please. Come on. Kevin Spacey's going to take over Pedo Island. Oh no. Oh god, yes. No. But yeah, other people are pointing out in these comments, like, I mean, to be fair, it's not weird at all for pedophiles to just wind up dead in prison. That is not weird.
No. Like, I know a guy who's been in prison. Like, he's my parents' friend's brother. And he lives, like, down the street from me. Sure. He's not, like, a bad guy, like, necessarily. He's just really, I don't know, like, he doesn't think things through. He's been in jail for, like, fighting and stuff, not like pedophilia or tax evasion. But yeah,
I like how those two were your two thoughts: pedophilia and the moral equivalent, tax evasion.
Tax evasion, just raping the public coffers. Anyway, no, pedophilia is way worse.
Yes, it is.
But
by a long margin.
Yeah, like these kind of people don't do well in prison. Like,
nope. Nor should they.
Right? That's why they have to be, like, segregated. I mean, I'm not normally for mob justice, but if you're a pedophile, that's like my one exception to the rule. I'm not promoting it. I'm not saying it should be standard.
No.
But, like, that's probably the one crime that will unite everybody against. Somebody's a pedophile, pretty much anything else for the rest of your life is over.
Yeah.
So don't be a pedophile.
Well, just don't expect anyone to care what happens to you, really.
PSA of the day: don't be a pedophile.
The fact that anyone needs to be told not to rape kids is fucking crazy.
We just need to tell pedophiles not to rape kids.
Yeah, that'll solve it. I mean, that's how it works, right? You just tell them not to be rapists, and then they don't. Kids are safe now, guys. It's right. Okay. We solved it. Promise.
We don't need to tell kids about stranger danger. We need to tell pedophiles not to rape kids. Come on.
Just let your kids roam everywhere. What's the problem?
So gross.
Seriously, yeah.
Like, and I don't know. Like, he has a ton of money, and so he's super connected to a lot of these elite people, like the Clintons, and he has some connections with Trump and Prince Henry, the Prince of Wales or whoever it is.
Right.
Next in line to the English throne.
That's scary in its own way.
Monarchies. But yeah, he has ties to all these, like, wealthy people, and nobody knows really what he does. And I don't know how much of this is just internet gossip being internet gossip. Like, maybe there is. Maybe some people do know what he does.
He's got a real job somewhere if you look real hard.
Yeah, maybe he has some sort of legitimate business, but I mean,
it depends on what you define as legitimate.
Yeah. So the whole Epstein thing, like, I haven't really been following it very much, but it's just so gross. Like, the whole thing is just so gross.
Just a little bit, huh?
Right. And I mean, there's nothing I can really add to it. Like, I was surprised because he does have. I just thought it was kind of funny that he's got these connections with the Clintons, and then he is found half dead, like semi-conscious. It just brings the meme to life. Like, before this, it was, well, how long, because they made ties to Clinton, and they're like, well, how long before he suicides himself? And then here we are. Right? It's like hilarious. Just, I mean, I don't want. There is a part of me that wants him hurt, that probably wants him dead if it's true with what he did.
Oh, yeah.
But there's also a part of me that's like, we can't just do it without reason.
You can't just.
I don't want him
just murder people.
I don't want him just strangled in a prison cell somewhere.
Well, sure.
I want his ass in the chair.
Well, the truth is, we'll never really know what happened. So there's always the possibility that maybe he's innocent, and that definitely needs to be respected. Because if there's even a 1% chance that he's innocent, I really don't want to participate in that.
Well, I don't want to throw away the principle of innocent until proven guilty.
Right, that's sort of what I'm getting at.
For a pedophile.
Even if they're a horrible person, we need to be, if we can't prove that he did anything, then, I mean, it seems like we can in this particular case, but in a general sense, if you can't prove it, then as far as I'm concerned, we need to act like it didn't happen. At least not the way that they're saying.
Yeah.
You can have your own assumptions, but that doesn't mean you should be acting on them. Those are two different things.
Yeah, because you could always be wrong, and
it's a weird world out there. Shit happens that you'll never understand. So, yeah.
Well, think of all those people who believed Jusse Smollett.
Sure.
Like, they're probably kicking themselves.
Most of them. And then you have the ones that are like, oh, no, I was technically right all along if you don't look at it too hard and squint a little bit.
Well, yeah, they also believe hands up, don't shoot, too.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that story was a lot more complicated at the time, so I can understand why someone would believe that. But,
well, yeah, that was like, that was Ferguson. That was one of the first big stories. I mean, after Trayvon Martin,
mm-hmm.
which the Trayvon Martin thing was, it's still kind of murky, that one.
It was more complicated than it was made out to be, but it still definitely didn't. It shouldn't have happened the way it did.
Right, it shouldn't have happened at all, but it's not like, I think it was another instance of there was a situation that was made worse by somebody being an idiot, and it just kept escalating, and then somebody died.
Pretty much.
But don't match idiocy with idiocy. You guys, like the other day.
I don't think our incredibly intelligent viewers, that the select few that enjoy our highbrow commentary, the select few. That's what we're calling them. Yes. That's how I'm going to refer to my small audience. The select few.
Those of you who enjoy our show aren't idiots. It's those other people.
Those other peons.
Those people watching the Young Turks.
Oh God, fucking Young Turks.
They're watching the Young Turks unironically.
Dude, I can't even knock it. I watched them for years. So
I never did. I wasn't that into politics back then.
Well, I wasn't either. It was more just like a casual news show for me at the time. So, yeah.
Dude, when I started getting into politics, it was from talk radio. And I actually was starting to listen to what's his name? Glenn Beck.
Oh, God.
When he was on the radio. Right? Like,
that's not much better.
That guy is, he's not a ton better. Like, I think he's gotten better with age.
Think so? I feel like he's gotten crazier.
No, like, he has some moments where I think he has some sort of like clarity, but he does this thing where he's just vague. He's super vague. Like, he's prophesied. He's always saying, "Oh, there's something coming, and it's big." And then when something happens, he can be like, "See, I told you this was going to happen," but he's never specific about what's going to happen. And so
that's usually called bullshitting, but
right, yeah, He's a expert bullshitter. But it was interesting. Like, he was on the radio, and it was more interesting than, I don't know, like Britney Spears or whoever was on the music radio at the time.
Britney Spears is the comparison we're going with.
Sure, why not? I don't know. It wasn't that long ago. It's like 5 years ago, so it's probably not her. But anyway, you get bored of listening to the same like 12 songs on the radio. And so I switched to talk radio, and he was on, and then regular news was on. So I would listen to that. But yeah, I moved away from Glenn Beck. Not my cup of tea anymore.
Fair.
It's kind of like I kind of put him in the same camp as like Alex Jones. He's kind of entertaining to listen to.
Yeah.
Kind of make you think, but you always got to you got to take it to what he says with a grain of salt, because he does make some leaps that I probably wouldn't make.
Big old heap and help and assault.
Yeah. But I do think I don't have a subscription to the Blaze TV, but I do think some of the shows on the Blaze are actually pretty good. Like Lauren Chen or Roaming Millennial. She does a good show, and a couple others are pretty good. But
yeah, I fell off her a little bit, but I do enjoy her work.
Yeah, I haven't watched a ton of her stuff lately either, just because, I don't know, I feel like I'm watching less YouTube lately. There's not really a ton to watch. Plus, I'm busier now than I used to be. Mostly now I watch Ben Shapiro or Tim Pool are the two big ones, and then Sargon, and then of course the weekly wrap.
I don't watch nearly as much Sargon as I used to. I don't know, it's just not as interesting as it used to be. Not for me anyway.
Well, yeah, he started to focus more on British politics, and so
it's
that
not
is
even that.
interesting.
I feel like his style changed a lot, because he used to take things with a much more humorous approach, and I feel like he's lost a lot of that.
Well, yeah, he's gotten a little more serious than he used to be. Like, he used to just rip on and crazy news stories. Like, that was one of my favorite shows of his, was his This Week in Stupid. Yeah.
I used to love that.
When he stopped doing that, and then he ran for office, it was...
Well, yeah, I think he was trying to get a little more serious so he could be a proper politician. But I don't know. I feel like he was better off doing what he was doing. Like, if he wanted to transition to politics, that's one thing. But, like, I don't know. It just didn't seem to work. It seemed very clumsy. And, like, to be fair, there's no blueprint. I mean, there is a blueprint for politics. But it's going to be different for everyone.
Well, so. And he... another person that I like to watch, too, is Matt Christensen.
Yeah, he's good.
And then his show that he does with Blonde in the Belly of the Beast, Beauty and the Beta. I like to watch that just because I like his production quality, and I think he's always super fair and tries to be as balanced as he can possibly be.
That's fair.
And he does his research, man. Like, he has his shit together for sure. So I admire that.
That's very true. No, I like Matt a lot. I don't watch a whole lot of his stuff because his delivery is a little bit dry for me, but I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world.
No, if I want like the facts, like the straight and narrow, I go to him. Like, he doesn't really have too much color commentary in there. He doesn't try to make a big stink about it, but he does have his own opinions on stuff too. So
yeah.
Another YouTuber I like is Freedom Tunes. Freaking hilarious.
Yeah, they're not half bad.
I don't know. And then the rest of it's like D&D stuff.
Oh, I didn't know you liked D&D.
Oh man, I've been playing D&D since I was like 10.
Oh shit. Might have to play sometime.
Yeah, off and on, but it's always hard to keep a group together.
Well, I feel like we talk to each other enough that it wouldn't be that hard for us to do a group. It would just be finding a couple more people.
Well, the hard part is to get people to actually friggin' show up, because usually I'm the one running the game, and I plan out like this kick-ass campaign, and we get like 2 adventures in, and people stop showing up, or they come late, or they're not really interested, or they drop out. It's maybe I'm a shit DM. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like that happens to a lot of groups. Like, it's pretty rare for a DM to be so good that the entire group is just fully invested the whole way through. That's a pretty rare person.
Well, yeah, that's not even my expectation, is for people to be fully invested. It's just that they actually just show up on time. And then play.
I mean, on time might also be a bit of a large expectation. I mean, we are talking
for me,
about
it isn't.
I mean, yes, but we were talking about like a game, so I feel like there's a lot of people that just sort of view it as, I'll get there if I get there.
Yeah, no, I understand. It is a game. It's for entertainment, so it's not like your first priority. But
right,
like
I get it though.
I always try to set up the group where we play once a month, and we plan the next gaming session at the end of the previous session, so that you have a whole month to set that time aside. And I'm not even asking for like 12 hours like some people do. I only want like 2 maybe. And I'm like, you should be able to do that. If you have like a month's notice for 2 hours, you should be able to set that aside. You shouldn't be texting me the day of saying, oh yeah, I can't make it. I know we were supposed to start playing in like 20 minutes, but and you tooled all the encounters to have this many people.
Yeah. It might also be the case that even not having like a big enough game time, maybe some people view it as not worth it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the people I played with just, some of them were just kind of flaky. Some of them just have busy lives. Like one guy is, I don't know if he's got it open yet, or he's still working on opening his own Taekwondo dojo.
Oh.
So he got really busy with that. But he was actually one of the guys that would show up on time. And when he said he would, the other guys were just, I don't know, kind of flaky sometimes.
All right, well, now we're literally just talking about D&D.
Welcome to the Weekly Wrap D&D podcast.
We occasionally talk about news here. It happens.
Right.
All right, well...
So what other tabletop games are you guys interested in? Let us know in the comments.
I mean, I actually have like a large list of... I actually have a pretty fair collection of board games at this point. If you have Tabletop Simulator, we should play sometime.
I don't, but I could probably get it. Because I love freaking board games, man.
Oh yeah, if you get Tabletop Simulator, we can play a bunch of board games. It'd be fun.
All right, I gotta write that down.
Yeah, it's on Steam, and I have most of the games on. Like I have most of the DLC, so there's really nothing that would be locked off from us. So yeah, if you're ever interested, let me know. But I think if we're literally just talking about tabletop gaming, we should probably call it
board games. All right. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Listening to us ramble and take off on tangents. We should be the weekly unwrap, because we kind of leave things unwrapped. We don't wrap it up. We just kind of go off in different directions. Anyway,
yeah, I was about to say the wrap might be like the worst title for us ever.
It's one of those double speak titles.
Yeah, we did not think about that at all. I maintain that the Horsemen of the Adpocalypse, like if we can get a couple more members for the show.
Yes.
I maintain that's a good name.
We'll get a focus group together and test out that
absolutely
name. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in.
Share, like
and subscribe,
please,
and see you next week.